I'm Martin Jarvis, and once again, I want to welcome you to Listen. Russia and Ukraine. Man, that's been going on for quite some time now. A lot of people have died. So what's up with that? I mean, my opinion, and I think I mentioned this a couple months ago on this program, is that the longer the conflict lasts in Ukraine, the less strength and ability Russia is going to have in the future to stir up trouble, to be a threat. And so it's in our best interest for that situation to last a long time in the Ukraine. I mean, we're making money. Come on, we're beginning to sell our own natural gas to Europe. So we're making money on this deal. And we have the potential to make a lot more money than we're spending on weapons that we're giving to Ukraine. Now, of course, eventually we want it over, but it's not hurting us. Keep this thing going. And so you notice that we're not sending American troops in there. We don't want to get involved in another mess like that. We don't have to. So then you wonder, would we really be allowing the Ukraine, the people of the Ukraine, to suffer like that? Well, look, the United States military. I was in the military. Most of my friends were in the military. Whenever the United States commits itself into a battle, into combat, I mean each individual battle, they have experts that estimate how many troops we're going to lose in the conflict. This is when you're putting together the plan, the strategy, putting it all together. We already know before we go into battle, we have an estimate on how many men we plan on losing. In other words, we're going to sacrifice American soldiers to attain a greater outcome, okay? So then why would we not sacrifice Ukrainian people for a greater outcome when we'll definitely sacrifice our own soldiers for a greater outcome? And that's what's happening in the Ukraine. And what's very interesting is how long it took President Biden to label Putin as a war criminal. Why do you think that was? Because our nation was founded by war criminals and maintained by... Look, Mount Rushmore. You got George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. Abraham Lincoln had the bright idea that after the war, that send all the blacks, although they had been here for generations, never been to Africa, send all the black people to Africa. And Roosevelt, his whole family became wealthy in an oppressive nation, extremely oppressive nation, to everybody that wasn't wealthy. So I mean, come on, who wasn't a war criminal? And even when you look at, look, I come from a military family, father, brothers, Vietnam, sister, Desert Storm, me and my other brother, it just happened to be peacetime. So I believe in the military. I never blame the military for the messes that our government gets the military in. The military is just at the mercy of hoping we have honorable administrations that are going to be careful about where they would send the military, okay? So I never, ever blame the military. And I think it would behoove the military to recognize this as well, Like even the Vietnam situation, for example. Turns out we were on the wrong side. I mean, come on, man. And a lot of situations that our military has been involved in, how we took over Hawaii, how we took over Puerto Rico, how we have done a lot of things that really haven't been good, and a lot of people have died, suffered for it. And so it's very difficult if you're a student of American history, far back and recent history, to label any leader from any other nation a war criminal, without recognizing, our leaders have some answering to do. They labeled George Bush a war criminal for Iraq. And so, we've Iraq a long time, Afghanistan a long time. A lot of people have suffered, at our hands. So I'm not coming against our nation, I'm just saying that it might be considered hypocrisy to be pointing our finger at anyone else and calling them war criminals, okay? So it's very interesting. Now, another thing that's interesting is, as a black man in America, when I see some worldwide, and especially the vast numbers of Americans supporting the Ukrainians against the oppressive Russians that are definitely killing them and brutalizing them, and we are suggesting and helping them to arm themselves to fight against their oppressors, I'm thinking, as an analogy, the Russians would be the privileged population in the United States, and the oppressed would be the Ukrainians would be analogous to the black folks in the United States. So we've been oppressed, we've been killed, we've been mistreated, brutalized. Shouldn't we be fighting back, as the majority of our nation is expressing the Ukrainians should be fighting back against their oppressors? What about our oppressors? For real. Now, personally, I believe we should be fighting back. But how we fight back, that's the question, okay? It's very important. I had mentioned in the previous program how even the liberals, the white liberals, the folks that just love black people and Democrats, whatever you want to call them, that they really, although they're trying to champion a cause for people that are non-white, since the moment they came on this planet, they've benefited from their white privilege, okay? So and their children benefit, and their grandchildren benefit. So there really is no incentive for them to really fight against the oppression of black people in this nation, okay? If they had fought for the oppression of black people like they fought against COVID-19, there might have been some changes. But when you consider there's only a handful of overtly oppressive white people in this nation compared to the majority of people of color, varying colors, who abhor racism, of the good white people who abhor racism. So if the minority are the overtly oppressive white folks in this nation, why does this evil still exist? because when evil only prevails when good men do nothing. So I can give the appearance that I'm really aghast and I'm really upset and fighting against the oppression and racism and in this nation. But if I really am benefiting from the system of oppression against those folks, I really don't have an incentive to really wholeheartedly try to fight this thing. And I'm not even saying necessarily this is a bad person, because if I had a grandchild that I wanted to take advantage, that I knew black folks didn't have an advantage, I still want my grandchild to take advantage of those opportunities. So all I'm saying is that if you have a population of people who themselves have benefited, who their children benefit, their grandchildren benefit from this oppressive system, even though they're not personally oppressive to folks, they're benefiting from the system, and they have no real incentive to fix that system, okay? Just recognize that. Black folks need to stop going out there trying to identify the difference in treatment between black folks and white folks on Facebook or anywhere else. You think they don't know by now? They're probably thinking, "Dag, doesn't this guy realize I already know?" They know. Ain't nothing you could say. You could identify that they don't already know. They probably knew before you did. Come on now. Oh, they caught me. That's it. Come on. Do you think they knew? You think they knew that the police weren't really abusing black folks before they caught Rodney King being abused that day by the Los Angeles Police Department? You think if George Floyd hadn't been on worldwide television and actually died that day in front of so many witnesses that the rest of the population didn't realize this has been going on for 200 years? Come on now. Ain't nothing's changed. It's just a little bit more slick now, but with all these smartphones out, it's hard to keep that stuff a secret. But you're not telling anybody that they don't already know. And so that's why I'm on this program. My point, my existence here is to share that yes, we do need to fight back, but we need to fight back in a way that we can win, okay? It's very important. Education is the key. Education. Well, we can't see that. And the violence, you know, they want to talk about black on black crime, right? Well, as we understand, and I've shared in many programs, the ratio to white on white crime is the same as black on black. Brown on brown is the same as white on white and black on black. Red on red, yellow on yellow, because people kill folks. People commit crimes against folks in their own neighborhoods, the vast majority. So those that are committing crimes outside of their neighborhoods, those are outliers, and they don't even count from a statistical perspective anyway. But so the crime that black people are committing against themselves is no different than the crime anyone else is committing against themselves. But still, we need to do better. It doesn't matter if they're killing themselves at a particular rate. We shouldn't be. And this is the most difficult thing that faces black people, you know, in our nation, is that we have to recognize that we're the only ones that really care about black lives, and often we don't seem like we care either. I mean, like our own black lives. Come on now. I mean, we're drinking, we're getting high. Those things right there, that's what everybody's doing. Everybody's getting that buzz. They're trying to legalize weed, and alcohol is legal, and everybody's going out to the clubs and nightclubs, partying and having a good time. But we're still at war. We don't have the luxury of doing what they do. We're not where they're at. We have to get ourselves to that place. Now I was having dinner, my wife and I, with a couple just recently. And what's interesting is we are financially, we're very well off. All three of our couples. And our children, the two couples that had children, myself and the other couple, our children have been in private schools, very good private schools. And they're probably going to do well in life. But to me, as a black man in America, coming up as a teenager, a young person, teenager, and a man in the 70s, I'm not satisfied with just my children being well. that our people are not well. And then we have to find some way. And I was sharing with these brothers that you know, I believe that if you are enlightened, that means if you have an insight and understanding and you're successful because you're making right moves, making right decisions, we have a responsibility more than simply to ourselves, but to help our fellow brothers and sisters be well. To try to shine the light on why there is no success. because the opportunities are not being taken. There are opportunities before us. And my wife has a degree from Miami University. I have an MBA. My friends, both of them married. They both have degrees. My other friend, he's working for a company. He's making a lot of money. They're in very good shape from making right choices and right decisions. You know, I was speaking to my daughter recently about white privilege. And well, it was about privilege, actually. And so it segued into the conversation about white privilege. And the question then she posed was, you know, if white privilege is real, how come most white folks aren't doing that well financially, you know? And what I shared with her, I began to share with her the concept of privilege. I shared with her, like, you know, I have her in a good school. She's been playing lacrosse for 5 years, been speaking Mandarin for 5 years, Spanish 3 years. She has an all-around excellent education. Benefits. She has privilege that she can build off of. But still, it's up to her whether or not she takes advantage of that privilege. Okay? And so what I'm suggesting today is that most folks in this nation, it doesn't matter if there's a thing called white privilege, everyone still has opportunities before them that are privileges, that they can build upon, they can be well, they can be successful in life. But most folks, this is white folks, black folks, most folks do not take advantage of the privileges that are right before them, and they end up living less than satisfactory lives, okay? But you know, it's a lot easier to play that blame game. And you blame it on the Mexicans. You know, that was the thing for a long time. Blame it on Black Lives Matter. You know, blame it on white people. Blame it on critical race theory. Blame it on the Democrats. Blame it on the Republicans. Blame it on the news media. We're so easy to play the blame game rather than simply look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what can I do to be well? What can I do to be well? And really, that's what it's all going to boil down to. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. You have opportunities before you. This whole racial thing, I mean, I appreciate the critical race theory, giving the mechanics behind and all this stuff, but is that really going to help? And I think it'd be a good thing to inform folks, you know, the mechanisms that have been in place that have caused folks to be in the position that they're in, but is that going to help you be better? At this particular point, I don't think so. I mean, I think as black folks, we know what went down. And again, as white folks know what went down. There's this big old thing called denial, but nobody's oblivious. Those guys that are fighting so hard for critical race theory not to be, you know, expressed in schools, I mean, to be honest with you, they probably don't really know what critical race theory is, neither do most black folks. But what is it that they're fighting? They know the evil has existed, they just don't know want to admit it, and that's what they think that they're standing in front of. So that, is it really going to help? No. No. The only thing that's going to help is taking advantage of the privileges that are sitting before you. Now, for all these, you know, past years, you know, for the past over a decade now, about 15 or so years, I've been demonstrating, you know, that's all I can do. Because I feel like I'm enlightened. I feel like I spent a whole lot of years not enlightened. You know, getting the buzz, just going to clubs, just doing the things that a lot of people do. But I had this epiphany one day. Now, I have to admit, I was 28 then, and I'll be 64 this year, so it has been a long time now. But I demonstrated how I got that degree, my MBA. Started when I was 50, got it when I was 60. I don't recommend waiting that long, but I'm just saying, if you're young, there's no reason why you can't get an education like that. Health-wise, I've been trying to be healthy maybe for over 10 years now, trying to eat healthy, trying to exercise, do all these things. I'll be 64 this year, and I'm in pretty good shape. I feel like I'm in good shape. So these are privileges that are set before us. We have the privilege, the benefit that we have the knowledge and understanding and the access to foods to keep us healthy. That all my exercises, I don't go out to gyms, I don't do any of that. I do a 40-minute martial art cardio, I do 50 push-ups a day and sit-ups. That's it. And I eat right. That's health. So I'm saying is these are the privileges that we have before us, especially in this nation. We have such privilege. And we just don't take advantage of them. And I've been demonstrating in whatever area of life, whatever you need to do, you can do. Even like the push-up concept, okay? Now, as a guy, like most people, I mean, when I was younger, I was in the military, I did a lot of push-ups. And in the martial art, when I was younger, I did a lot of push-ups as well. But I hadn't really, who does push-ups, you know, when you're in your regular life, right? But I decided, you know, I've been doing this 40-minute cardio. I wanted to see if I could start building up my arms a little bit. So I decided, well, I'm going to do some push-ups. Man, it was tough. I mean, I could push off like 30 push-ups, but they were looking kind of sloppy. So I decided I was going to do 10 push-ups for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, I was going to add 5, do 15 push-ups for 2 more weeks. Add 5 more for 2 more weeks, do 20, all the way up. I got all the way up to 60 push-ups a day. And then my sides started hurting. So I dropped it down to 50, and I've been doing 50 push-ups a day for over a year now. And I was just calculating yesterday, you know how many push-ups that is a month? 1,400 push-ups I do every month. That means I do 700 push-ups every week. Every 2 weeks. I do 350 push-ups every week. I do 50 push-ups a day. 1,400 push-ups a month. Imagine that. It's just consistency. Find a plan, work it out. I think I learned that in school, you know, going to school for those 10 years. I was talking to my daughter. You know, my daughter plays lacrosse. She's been playing for 5 years now. Next year she's going to be a senior. She wants to step up her game. So we have a little lacrosse net in the backyard, and I got some of those cones that I helped her learned to park with back when she was getting her driver's license. And I set them up in the yard, so she's going through this particular routine, one of her workouts. And I said, just do that every day. As well, exercise every day. Nothing really intense, nothing that you'll lose, motivation, but exercise every day. And like this lacrosse season has 2 more weeks left. But I said, what your goal is, I said, and usually what the kids do is they wait until just before lacrosse season and they start practicing again. I said, no, your goal is next year. Your senior year lacrosse, we're going to start today. You work out every day, best that you can, and we're going to go practice lacrosse every day, the best that we can. With the goal of her senior year lacrosse. And she's going to be powerful. I know it. Because it's a process that I've used in so many different ways in life. It always works. Figure out a plan, be consistent, and you'll be great. We need to recognize that. Man, I guess I got ticked some people off. I was on Facebook the other day, and I don't know what state they were in. I think it was California or somewhere. They were complaining about minimum wage. How you can't live on minimum wage, and it's just terrible, and companies, the stuff. People complaining. Maybe you're that way, complaining about it. My response to them was simply make yourself more marketable. Okay? I mean, a lot of times we stay where we are. I don't know why. It's just easier to blame somebody else than to do whatever it takes to get ourselves in a better position. Now I know good and well in every state the post office is hiring. And I think their starting pay is around $18 or so, an hour. So if you're complaining about a $7 or $8 minimum wage or whatever the minimum wage is, and the post office is hiring in every state in the United States, why aren't you a mailman or a mail lady? Because I don't want to walk around in that kind of weather. Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. Easier to blame somebody else than to do what it takes. School-wise, man, I know it's probably more expensive now, but before I earned my MBA, I earned a bachelor's degree. Before the bachelor's degree, I earned an associate degree, and that was from Sinclair Community College. Man, and so what I did, I went to Sinclair College just because I wanted to get an associate degree, and at the time it was like $33 per class. It was $33 a credit hour. It was like $99 for each class. It's probably more expensive now. But they had this program set up where they would take the money out of your check. So in the course of a quarter, and it may even be a semester now, I'm not sure, that's just a little bit of money coming out of your check every payday. Go to school. Man, you say, well, it's just an associate degree. What I'm telling you is you go to an employer that is paying more money than minimum wage, and you show them that you spent the last 2 years going to school and graduating, they will be impressed, and they'll hire you. And so you'll now, if you should already be at the post office and doing this at the same time. But even if you're just doing your minimum wage job or whatever it is, make that sacrifice, go to school, graduate, go to somewhere else for a job, and show that you've been in school for 2 years. And you say, oh, so yeah, it's only an associate degree. But they're going to see that you were committed. They were saying you were consistent. You have that kind of fortitude that you're going to follow through with an assignment. You're going to get the job. And then once you get there, do your job well. Try to get a promotion. At the same time, continue going to school. Change that associate degree to a bachelor's degree. And then repeat the process. Go somewhere else with a bachelor's degree and say, look what I done did. I'm telling you, you'll work yourself, you'll educate yourself right out of the situation that you're in right now. But people don't want to do that. They just want the government to make these businesses pay them more money. It's probably not going to happen. It might happen a little bit, but it's not going to be significant. It never is. You're going to have to take up the initiative and make your life better. Man, I used to work for NCR. I was there after I got out of the military. I went to work for NCR. I was there for 13 years. 1994, AT&T took over. Like 2,000 of us lost our jobs. We knew it was coming. They had taken over the company 2 years prior. And they told us we're not going to touch anybody's job until 2 years. And it was like 2 years to the day we got the notice that we were losing our jobs. Now they allowed us to fight over the few jobs they had left. I didn't do that. I just took a buyout. But you know, I left NCR, and I know a lot of people that left NCR. By the way, 5 months later, I got hired on at the post office, making more money, better shape. My twitch went away. My life, it was a blessing, because I was probably never going to leave NCR. I hated the job. Wasn't paying much, but I thought I'd retire from there. Best thing that ever happened was to leave there. But even in the meantime, in that 5 months when I was looking for another job, I wasn't mad at NCR. I wasn't upset with the company. I mean, that's business. Why would a company that's been in business trying to make a profit not do what they feel is best for the company? Whatever situation I was in when I was at NCR, no education. What's really funny is when I got out of the military, I started to go to college. And then when I got hired on at NCR, I just quit. Because why would I need to go to college? Because how stupid I was thinking. And then even after I was at NCR, NCR would pay for your education. So I started going to college on NCR's dime, but then just got tired of doing it and quit. So when they finally let me go, or I finally took the buyout, I wasn't mad at NCR because I recognized that my lot in life was a result of the decisions that I had made. Why would I be mad at them? And now I'm in a very good position in life, and so it might seem, Jarvis, no, I'm not just saying that. I said it when I was the victim from that company. No, man, most of the situations that we have in our lives, we brought these on ourselves, and it's up to us to handle our business and to take ourselves out of the crosshairs of a low economy or a low financial status to make ourselves more marketable. And this holds true in every aspect of life, you know. And as we're closing here, possibly, you know, I just recently had my 24th wedding anniversary. I've been married for like 24 years now. And I was giving some wedding advice, you know, to unmarried people. And I was like 8 points. It's on Facebook if you find me. But one of the last points was make yourself marketable. If you're out there waiting for a husband, you know, or a wife, you know, make yourself more marketable. You know, exercise. Get yourself together physically, emotionally, financially. Get yourself together. Very important in all aspects of life. If you want to do better, if you want to be better, make yourself marketable. So whatever time you have, whatever time you're waiting, if you're unemployed, waiting for a job, if you're in a job that's dismal, doesn't look like it's a future, you know, any of that, just do what needs to be done to better you. Don't just complain, waiting for them to do you right. That's, as a black man in America, what I compare that to is us asking white people to act right. Come on now, after all these 100 years, they're like, you ain't got the hint yet? Come on, they're not going to do right. So what, you're a dismal, less than satisfactory life because they won't change? No, it doesn't matter if they won't change. You do what you need to do to make yourself better. Figure out a game plan, walk it out, be consistent. And I'll tell you what, you better stop smoking weed, better stop drinking alcohol, because you will not finish if you're getting that buzz. You're not going to make it. I'm telling you. Now, you might find a few folks out there, you know, I smoke weed, I made it. Yeah, well, you know, the environment was a little bit different. Most people won't. Okay? Most people won't. I had a buddy, man, I was like, growing up, you know, they were giving those advertisements about, you know, stop smoking cigarettes because it's going to kill you. And this cat was saying, well, my grandfather was 88 years old when he died and he smoked every day. You know, well, you know, that's an outlier. That doesn't count. That's not normal, okay? So I'm just telling you, if you want to be successful, you got to sacrifice. Sacrifice the buzz. Sacrifice the weed. Because that's an addiction. Weed is an addiction. I mean, it's not the same kind of addiction as heroin and fentanyl and crack and all that, but it's an addiction. The fact that you're in your mind right now listening to me saying, man, I'm never going to stop smoking weed. That's your addiction talking, man. It's called a psychological addiction. I was telling this brother, there's a good brother, and he that I work with, and he's making a lot of money. Cool brother. And I was telling him my plan, you know, black folks, what we got to do. And I said, first thing, we got to stop smoking weed. He just started laughing. He said, we ain't never going to stop smoking weed. That's what we're going to be. You need to look at it like when we have to understand that the system in this nation is not set up for black people to prosper. Okay? So when something comes down the line, that weed is going to be legalized, don't fall for it. Because it's just another thing that's going to trip you up, that's going to keep you from progressing. And I can tell you from personal experience that things like weed will placate you, will satisfy you into being on whatever level you're at. And so it's not going to be beneficial. It's not going to promoting your success. And if you have kids and your kids know that you smoke weed, you're validating that buzz before them. And they're probably going to follow in your footsteps. And they're going to be the ones down the road, you know, complaining how I just can't make it on minimum wage. You don't want that, man. You want your children to be well. You want your children to be successful. You want to be well. You want to be successful. Hey, don't poison your body. Don't poison yourself. Get yourself healthy. Get yourself well. Start making right choices, right decisions. Right choices will bring the right results. And wrong choices will be the wrong results. I believe you're going to be well. Just grasp a hold of this. How's that? Anyway, I think we've covered a lot of stuff today. And I hope you chew on some of it. I do want to thank you once again for listening. And I want to invite you to listen again. You take care.